better late than never. We're going to let it breathe. We're live, but we got to let it breathe. Hang tight just for another moment, and we're going to fire this party up. Trust your football priest. It's happening. We're getting down right now. Welcome in, everybody, to the Huddle Up podcast, presented, as always, by Mile High Huddle, powered by Blue Wire Pods. I'm your host, Chad Jensen, and with me is my fellow football priest and the deputy editor of MileHighHuddle.com. He is Zack Kelberman. Zack, first of all, congratulations for leading the way on what was yet another number one month for Mile High Huddle on the Fan Nation Sports Illustrated network, dude. You led the way, brought in a lot of page views, a lot of content. I gotta assume, I mean, I don't even have to look. You probably led the way in terms of content, number of articles published and all that. So tip of the cap, my brother.
Yeah, I feel like it's an Oscar accepting speech, but I want to give all the credit to Broncos country, honestly. It's not cliche. Without you guys reading and checking out our articles and checking out my articles and Chad's and everybody else's, we wouldn't have reached those plateaus as we do every single month. And to reach that number in a month like June, where there's pretty much no news, especially in the last couple of weeks, and to still reach new levels is a credit to you guys. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And the best is yet to come this year. Season's around the corner.
That's right. That's right. We're making hay. The sun's shining. It's super hot, but there's nothing happening, but we're still making hay. Shout out, as Zack said. I appreciate you, each and every one of you who read the articles. Zack, it's kind of boggles the mind to think that 2.1 million individual Broncos fans read milehighhuddle.com in the month of June. So it's kind of mind-boggling. You try and wrap your brain around that scale and those numbers, and you're like, what? But nevertheless, we are grateful for where we're at, and it's all thanks to you guys. And, again, though, credit to Zack leading the way as deputy editor. You demand. And tonight, it's the Mile High Mailbag. We are your football priests. Each and every week, we're here to offer you the absolution and answers to your burning Broncos questions, and we're going to get to them. But first thing I got to pick your brain on here real quick, Zack. Melvin Gordon's mother throwing a little shade at her own boy. I'll pull up the story here, but drop some knowledge on us. What's going on there?
Well, I mean, it was in a good way. It's tough love for Mama Gordon. I believe her name is Carmen Gordon. Melvin had a youth football camp, I believe, in Englewood recently, earlier this week, and she met with the press and she gave some interesting comments. And she basically said, "I told Melvin he looked slow last year. He was doing some things that he shouldn't have been doing. He was hitting the hole a little late." And on one hand, it made the headlines for what it did. I mean, you see it right there. But on the other hand, it's like, this is great. His mother is a veritable football analyst. So one step away from pro football focus at this rate, Chad. But she was right. He hit the hole a little slow. He was struggling out of the gates. He finished the season strong, though. As she says toward the bottom of the article, I told him I look slow. You need to work on that in the offseason. She's expecting him to come out shooting. I'm expecting Pro Bowls. He's been to 2 in his career, and Mama Gordon's expecting a 3rd with the Broncos this coming season.
That's right, man. You can't BS Mama Bear. Mama knows the truth. It's like I tell my kids sometimes, they hate it. They hate it when I say this, and it's not exactly true, but it's fun to say. Come on. I know you better than you know yourself. In many ways, it's true. In terms of you start to. When your kid is BSing you, when, they need a little extra push on this, or what they are capable of and all that stuff. And this is a mom that, it sounds like, Zack, has been very, very engaged in her son's football career. And so she's laying out the score. She's saying, look, dude, 986 yards, solid campaign here, right? His first year with the Broncos. But let's get over 1,000. Let's get back to the Pro Bowl, my son.
Yeah, the best friends in the entire world, they'll tell things to you straight. And if you have a good relationship with your mom, as I do, and it seems like Melvin does, she's telling it to him straight. You hit the hole a little late. It wasn't good enough. You looked a little slow. And that's what he needs. If they have that tight bond, that might be the off-field factor that sparks the old Melvin Gordon, the 2-time Pro Bowl Melvin Gordon, the former 1,000-yard rusher Melvin Gordon. And listen, you and I both don't like his contract. You and I both concede that he was good, not great last year for the Broncos, but we want him to be great because we acknowledge that if he is, the Broncos offense and the team as a whole is a lot better. So here's hoping Gordon does, as I wrote there, heeds his mother's call this coming season.
I think one thing that might point to Melvin Gordon absolutely heeding Mama Bear's call to action is his new haircut. right? He had to have shedded at least a pound with his new haircut. He got rid of the dreads, and who knows, Zach, maybe that'll make him a little lighter on his toes.
I mean, anything can help. I mean, it could be the difference between a breakaway run where a defender grabs his dreads and yanks him down, or he breaks away because he has a new haircut. Whatever helps him succeed, I support, because it makes the Broncos as a whole better. I'll say it again, and I'll always say it, Chad, for every player on the Broncos team.
I read an article about this last week. I've never had dreadlocks. My hair has always been, very fine. Even before I started losing it, I had plenty of hair, but it was fine hair, and I never tried doing dreadlocks. But I had a friend that had dreadlocks. I actually had a couple of friends, and one today that still has dreadlocks. And I remember asking them, not asking, but hearing them talk about how sometimes the weight of it would like give them headaches and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, why are you wearing dreadlocks then? But I read just this past week, Zach, that they can weigh up to 1 to 2 pounds, depending on how long they are, depending on, how well they're cared for, depending on a few different factors. So, hey man, if it makes Melvin hit the hole a little bit faster, that's a collateral benefit that maybe Melvin didn't see coming.
And also hopefully avoiding the wine. We have to hope this coming season. Has to be said. Real
quick shout out to Sam Bam jumping in before we even went live with the super chat. Thank you, my friend.
Sam.
You've really become a bona fide superstar, and I think it's past time, Sam, that you shoot us an email, milehighhuddle@gmail.com, and let's get you out a T-shirt as a small thank you for your support and your dedication. So shoot us an email with your T-shirt size and your address, and we'll get a T-shirt out to you stat. He says, hello, John. Hello, Chad and Zach. Hello, Broncos country. Hello, Lock supporters. Hello, Lock haters. Hello, fans who think we should have drafted like 10 other quarterbacks in the past 5 years. Go Broncos. Appreciate that, Sam. And Zach, yeah, there's still some fans out there that are eating their hearts out a little bit over the fact that the Denver Broncos, A, didn't trade up, B, passed on Justin Fields, and even some who were, hoping Mac Jones, right?
Yeah, there's some fans that are kind of retroactively criticizing the Broncos for drafting Drew Lock, and they're blaming Drew Lock's mother for birthing Drew Lock. So it even goes that far back, Chad. But yeah, I'm glad that Sam's all-inclusive with his welcomes there, and I like that he can extend his greetings to even the Lock haters, because I believe he's on our side of this discussion, Sam. So I appreciate you.
And by our side, all that means is we're not completely deranged Lock with an irrational hate of Drew Lock. What's up, Joseph? Good to see you. Shout out to each and every one of you for being with us live tonight. Plenty in terms of topics, lots of news, lots of cool things happening. Not like, breaking momentous news, but interesting things. The training camp schedule was released tonight. We'll get to that. Also, it is the Mile High Mailbag, and so we're going to get to as many of your questions as possible. We'll, of course, get every super chat on the show tonight. But we also, because it is Mile High Mailbag night, we want to be as democratic as possible. Spread it out across all the platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, as many as possible. We're going to get to all that here in just a minute. First, though, some really quick matters of business. Connect with us on social media, starting with Twitter by following the Huddle Up Podcast at Huddle Up Pod and our main account at Mile High Huddle. Our great producer, John Kay, who just does phenomenal work on Twitter, cultivates the community, finding the cool little Broncos nuggets across the internet. And trust us when I say, you want to make sure you're connected with Wannabeast on Twitter at John K. MHH. Zach as well is, I just realized, Zach, something we got a little, we're missing our little handles. Here we go. Zach as well does a great job. He's like the eye of Sauron, right? Keeping his eye open for any Broncos news that's going to break across his Twitter timeline. On Twitter, Zack Kelberman at Kelberman NFL, myself at Chad and Jensen. Also, guys, we'd really appreciate it if you would follow the Huddle Up Podcast, still brand new Facebook page. You can navigate on your browser, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod, or just open up Facebook on your phone, search Huddle Up Podcast, give it a like, give it a follow. We got big plans for that page as far as unique content that's going to be specific to that page, but we got to wait till we get it to scale. And in the meantime, by you helping out, liking and following the page before we do start dropping that content, you are automatically entered into our weekly giveaway. Might be a hat, might be a t-shirt, randomly selected raffle of people who are both liking and following the page. And we have a new winner for this week, which we will announce. John, don't let me forget, by the end of the show, we'll announce this week's winner of that raffle. And then also, guys, we kindly ask you to become a supporter on Facebook of Mile High Huddle. It's pretty simple. You go to the main Facebook page for our publication, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. You'll see the big blue button. It says become a supporter. Click that. $5 a month gives you access to our premium video and podcast content, which includes Kelberman's Corner every Sunday at noon, the Trickle Zone every Saturday at noon Mountain Time, and our newest show with yours truly, Broncos Book Club, which will, I think we're going to shoot for this Saturday around 2 p.m. Mountain Time is when we're going to roll out Broncos Book Club. So if you want access to that and you want to help us keep the lights on and support the cause, become a supporter on Facebook, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. Check out the merch store when you get a minute, huddleuppod.com. Get your swag on, get a hat, get a t-shirt, mug, little something to support the cause. And if you're not in a position to do those things, gang, trust, we're just happy to have you with us. We're grateful that you're here. Just make sure you're subscribed. Give this video a like if you're on YouTube and Facebook. You guys have no idea how much that helps us. And the litmus test number 3, if you think we are doing a good job, the way Zach and I can really measure that, the truest testimonial, are the 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and you sharing this video out there on your social media, which helps us continue to grow and reach those new like-minded Broncos fans just like you. All right, John, let me real quick. I know we got a lot going on in the chat, but my stream just did a jump. So I'm just gonna grab Dennis real quick here. Dennis, it's so good to see you, my friend. Dennis is a longtime superstar. Dare I say, a Mount Rushmore caliber superstar. And he's been with us at least as long as I can remember us doing these as live stream pods, Zach. And he's an OG. He's up in Michigan. He exemplifies our little hashtag state of being, our little catchphrase. And we love you, my friend. Rocking the MHH dad hat like a distinguished gentleman in his YouTube profile pic. He says, Zach, and the other hosts as well, I appreciate your humility, but if you and the others didn't put out informative and interesting articles, there wouldn't be as many readers and thus less success.
I mean, Dennis, I appreciate your humility. You're out, being out humbling me right now. So I do appreciate that. And I appreciate all the warm reception that we all get, Chad, the entire brand on Twitter, on social media. And honestly, you guys, every single click I get on my articles, anyone gets on their articles, as writers, that's the number one way you can show us support is just reading the product we put out and making sure it doesn't disappear in the ethos. I put a lot of effort in, Chad does, everyone does as well, and Dennis and everyone else, we appreciate everyone checking it out.
A colleague of ours that is an Emmy award-winning 40-year veteran journalist in Dallas-Fort Worth, covers the Dallas Cowboys. I was talking to him earlier this week, in fact, and he made a comment that I was like, right on, this is absolutely true. Sites like Mile High Huddle, we're not so much in the game of trying to break news, right? We're not trying to be per se, insiders, etc. What we do, and this is what our colleague had to say, he goes, what we do is when there's a piece of news that comes out, sure, it's going to get out there, but what we do is we advance the ball. We get the information out to more and more eyeballs, more fans who wouldn't otherwise have known about this. And then, of course, we give our take on what that news is. We give our unique, perspective, opinions on the very issues. Zebulon, what's up, dude? Have you vanquished the Romulans yet? All right. Have you vanquished the Romulans? That's my question to you. Really appreciate you, though, my friend. Seriously. Thank you for the stars. Thank you for being a supporter on Facebook.
Thank you, Zebulon. And I'm pretty sure I saw a Mama Merlot comment pop up. I believe that was from EJ. Or someone. That was pretty funny, though. Yes, EJ. Mama Merlot's on the money. Yes, she is. Didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you did.
JT, another Mount Rushmore superstar across the pond in the United Kingdom. Great to see you, bro. I know that, like myself, you're a new dad, not your first, but brand new baby in the house, and it can be consuming. This I know. So it's great to have you with us live tonight, bro. Hope you're doing well, and hope baby and mama's doing well. He says, hey, guys, dripping in to show some love. Feeding time, we'll listen after the fact. Hope all is well, and that baby Jensen, all well. Zach and John, been a while. Yeah, it has been a while, dude. And I was thinking about you, in fact, the other day, and I was talking to someone about, what was that condition? The eye thing it's something to do with welder's eye or whatever, that condition we talked about. Anyway, so let's get you back on the show, dude. Reach out, shoot us an email or DM on Twitter, whatever. let's schedule a time to bring you back on and get some of your thoughts on the most recent issues at hand.
Yeah, JT's a great long-time Twitter follow, so it's always good seeing you around, JT. Hope you and your family are doing really well.
All right, let me see here. Got to be as oh, dude, we got the MHH resident male model rocking the swag like a true boss, Muhammad Badri. What's going on? Another new dad. It's new dad night. How's the little baby Malik doing? Is he keeping you up at night? Appreciate you, bro. He says, the CEO and the dragon in the house. Hashtag the beast. Hey, dude, it wouldn't be a Huddle Up podcast proper podcast without Mo in the house.
Yeah, it's like every time I see his name pop up, it makes the podcast a little better. And the thing about Mo is he's so supportive on every single product we put out. He's always there for KK. He's always there for Broncos Book Club. He's always there for the Trickle Zone. He's always there as long as he can be there. And that's why we have the best fan base and the best listeners in the entire world, and Mo and many others out there leading the charge.
Michaela wants to know, isn't tomorrow the day we find out if Aaron Rodgers is going to opt out? Is tomorrow the deadline?
Yes, the second. Ooh. And spoiler alert, he's not going to. So.
Yeah, it would be a surprise. It would be a shock if he did. Real quick, let's talk about, let me pull this up. In fact, actually what I'll do is, since we have a nice little graphic here, let's talk about training camp. Just real quick, the Denver Broncos unveiled their official training camp schedule. I'm gonna get this fired up for you guys so you can follow along with us here. For July, it's really exciting. We have we think we can do some fun stuff with it as far as some MHH and fan type interaction. But in the meantime, let's just take a look at this. Let me blow it up, hopefully. There we go. So training camp is set to kick off July 28th, which is a Wednesday. And then you're going to get 4 days on. And let's see, the 31st is – okay, so 4 days in a row, a day off, 3 days in a row, a day off, 2 days in a row. And then I don't know what these blue blocks are. Of course, they're going to be practicing that week, Zach. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe just that they're not open to the public, right? And then you've got, oh, no, they're on the road. Hello. That's the week they're practicing with the Vikings. Duh. So then you got preseason game 1, Zach, and then August 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, you've got what remains leading up to the second game versus the Seahawks, and then they'll come home and play one more. But there you have it, Zach.
I just can't believe. I mean, I can, because every year I say this, the NFL calendar just literally flies, but I can't believe we're in the month of July, and 27 days from now, the Broncos are going to be starting training camp, and then a few days after that, the first preseason game. We get to see Broncos football again. It's just wild, and I'm so happy, Chad, because I miss football, as I'm sure many others do out there, desperately.
Dude, it's so crazy because you think about, it's just like when I got my to my new studio, which is a little tough shed. All right. It's a nice brand new tough shed, the 200 square feet. But it's a tough shed that I had soundproofed and drywalled and painted and the whole nine. But I had to figure out how to get power to it. Right. So we ran power and all that, and being out there working on it and stuff like that, you're just dying in this heat. You're just sweating your butt off. And then finally and we got this heat pump connected, and a heat pump does cooling in the summer and it can do heating in the winter. Once we got that thing connected and it was blowing air, it was like, this is miraculous. This is a miraculous thing here. And this little ramble of mine is the things we take for granted, right? Like the electricity and the air conditioning and little things, the preseason, all those years, Zach, that we took preseason games for granted.
Sure.
2020 hammered home the lesson that appreciate the things in your life that are good while you got them.
Yeah, and for Broncos country, it's definitely, it's encouraging, and I'm sure they're thankful that this training camp this year they can be there. I believe they're not going to have. I think you can't touch the players, interact with the players, but the fans can watch the players practice. And it's the return to normalcy ahead of a season that's going to be normal with fans in the stands. I'm just so glad, like you said, we took it for granted last year. And even though we're losing a preseason game, there's only 3 this year, I cannot wait for the most meaningless football, because for us, after the last year, none of it's meaningless.
Muhammad jumping in again with a super sticker this time to say, you are amazing. No. You're amazing. I think I'm like, that clip from Tommy Boy when he's still at college and he just graduates and he's in his dorm with his buddies and they're partying it up a little bit. And one of his buddies goes, you're the best, Tommy. No, very serious. You are the best. And then he leans in, feigns he's going to kiss him or whatever. The guy's like, oh, and it gets a good laugh. You're amazing, Muhammad. You're amazing.
Was that a Niner? Were you calling from a walkie-talkie?
That's right.
Thank you, Mo.
Tommy want wingy. All right, here we go. Let's get back to some football. All right, no more Chris Farley impressions. I'm not.
This is now a Tommy Boy podcast.
Shout out to Michael, who's just come on strong lately, just being an outgoing supporter. Like he's on Twitter shouting us out. He's in the chat. He's participating in the conversation, listening to every pod, watching every pod. So shout out to you, Michael, and rocking the swag too, Zach.
And what's cool is lately he's been, after every single podcast, tweeting us and saying great show. So that level of support and going that extra step, Michael, is so amazing and rewarding, and we appreciate it.
Most definitely. All right, let me see where we're at. John, keep an eye out for any Twitch comments. I feel like we kind of neglect our great Twitch listeners and community members. So just keep an eye out. Here's Albert real quick. So Gordon had a come to mama talk. Nicely done, Mom. Indeed. And you know what? Look, I hope Melvin Gordon goes out there and crushes it this year. I hope he's a 1,000-yard rusher, and I hope Pookie, provides the Broncos with the first duo of 1,000-yard rushers since that. I think it was the 2005 season when you had Tatum Bell and Mike Anderson both go over 1,000. Or did one come up just short? I think they both crossed the 2,000. I think that's the only time it's ever happened in Denver. I'm going to double check that.
Sometimes a come to mama talk is better than come to Jesus talk, and maybe that's what Gordon needed going into the season. I'm also rooting for him, and he's in a contract year, so not coincidentally, his mom thinks he's going to outperform what he did last year. But I hope he has a lot of incentive and a lot of chips on his shoulder to be a better player for the Broncos, a great player deserving of that $8 million that the Broncos gave him.
Yeah, so I was wrong. They came just shy. So kind of like Melvin coming just shy of 1,000 last year. Tatum Bell in 2005 rushed for 921 yards, 8 touchdowns. That's a lot. That was back in the Shanahan zone blocking. I mean, plug in a running back, they're going to go for 1,000. Meanwhile, Mike Anderson, everyone remembers old Mike Anderson, the former Marine, former Rookie of the Year. He busted off 1,014 rushing yards, Zach, and 12 touchdowns. So that year, 2005, that was the year the Broncos made it all the way to the AFC title game with Jake Plummer, vanquished at home by Ben Roethlisberger and the eventual world champion Pittsburgh Steelers. That year, man, one of the reasons Jake Plummer went from being Jake the Snake to no mistake Jake was he didn't have to be the guy, carrying things. You had a very prolific 1-2 punch in Tatum Bell and Mike Anderson. So I go through this just to say, Zach, that it would be cool if the Broncos can get that with Melvin and Pookie.
It would be essential to whoever's quarterbacking the Broncos. And the first assumption is it would help Drew Lock more because he's more inconsistent and he's younger, but that would obviously help Teddy Bridgewater because, like we've been saying, no defense out there respects his arm talent. So every defense to open up the season until the Broncos offense on the ground gets going, they're going to load the box and make Teddy Bridgewater beat them. The way to stop that is the running game to get going. So, yeah, I hope Gordon does well, and I hope Pookie does well. I even hope Mike Boone does well and Freeman does well. I hope the entire team does well. That should be a fairly easy assumption and decision to make about the Broncos.
Here is Cottonmouth 78 in the house, another superstar, been with us a long time. Good to see you, my friend. Appreciate you. He says, here's $10 from the cornfields of Illinois. My little man arrived June 20th. Oh, that's rad, dude. That's my mother's birthday. Mom and the boy doing great. Life is good. Denver Broncos for life. Dude, that's so awesome. Congrats. What a blessing that is. And, yeah, man, you just got to appreciate the ways. Another thing, I'm not trying to tell you every little lesson I try to teach my kids, but, trying to recognize and appreciate all the little ways that whether you're a believer in God or not, the universe, whatever, all the ways in which your life is blessed. And it sounds like you got a lot to celebrate on that front, Cottonmouth 78.
And what's so amazing is he's sharing the blessing with the super, and we definitely acknowledge that. And thank you so much. And it's good to see you back in the podcast again.
Here is Desert Creature on YouTube. If Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater conduct their own passing camps, are the participating players covered by the team if injured? No.
Unless it's sanctioned by the team.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not the case.
It's up to team discretion. Anytime a player gets injured away from the facility in a non-football injury potential situation, it's up to the team if they want to designate it non-football and get out from paying them. But let's just put it this way: they're not obligated to contractually if they are injured in any way, shape, or form away from the facility. Or on the field. It's just the way it is.
And you're going to see, at least in Denver, I think you're going to see a little more apprehension, conducting workouts away from the facility after what happened to Juwan James and Deshaun Hamilton. No Broncos player wants to be the next one on that list.
Hey, Tommy, where's your sense of humor, dog? The Eye of Sauron missed nothing, dude. The Eye of Sauron from Mordor could scrutinize across the entire Middle Earth and find a little tiny hobbit trying to duck the orcs and all that stuff with a ring. That's the type of eye Zack Kelberman has for anything related to your Denver Broncos. So appreciate that allegory, my dog.
The Eye of Sauron has LDS.
There we go. Sorry, John. What was the one you were throwing up there? Michaela. Love you, Michaela. We are stoked because next week, lest I am mistaken, let me double check this. I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. Yep. Michaela makes her Huddle Up podcast debut. We are super stoked for that. We've been looking forward to that. So have a great weekend, enjoying the 4th and all that. See you on Wednesday. She says, I don't care as much as being a top 10 roster. I think it's more important to have depth, in my opinion. Hashtag MHH forever. Yes, I forgot almost that we titled this episode around the fact that PFF ranked the Denver Broncos in the top 10 as far as NFL rosters. So if that's true, and I'll find the rankings here, Zach, but let's just on the face of it, just say, yeah, they're a top 10 roster. What are the implications of that? What does that mean to you as far as this team's outlook 2021?
All I've seen on Twitter today, all the, snarky, genius quote tweets is that the Broncos are a quarterback away. And I don't agree with that assumption. I think even with a quarterback like Locke or Bridgewater, with this roster, like we've been saying for the last 6 months, the Broncos can make some serious noise. It means that George Paton in year one did a really good job compiling and retaining talent. It means John Elway in recent years did a good job building the foundation as we've seen the last couple seasons. And it means the Broncos are going to be contenders this coming year, at least according to one PFF analyst. Though I don't want to be hypocritical either, because how often do we come on here and bash PFF and really kind of pump the brakes on giving them any sort of credibility? So I'm not going to go away from that. It's one person's opinion. I happen to agree with this opinion, and it should lead the Broncos to good things this year, regardless of who's quarterbacking the team.
For posterity, here is what PFF's Ben Lindsay, this is what he listed as the rankings for the top 10 rosters. Interesting to see that he has the Tampa Bay Bucks listed number 1 as far as the best roster. I question that, Zach. You take Tom Brady away from that roster, is it still number 1? And maybe that's the point, right? If you got Tom Brady on the roster, I mean, you're up there. But I know they're good. They just won the Super Bowl. I mean, I know that, but I'm not sure about that one. Kansas City, no brainer. Cleveland, yes, they have ridiculous talent in Cleveland. Buffalo, same. Baltimore, same. Let's see here. Here is the bottom 5 in the top 10. Green Bay checking in at number 6. The Rams at number 7 and just got better by virtue of shipping off Jared Goff and grabbing Matthew Stafford. Yeah. Dallas Cowboys, another ridiculously talented team that was just missing a quarterback last year. Minnesota Vikings at number 9. George Paton making an appearance at 9 and 10, Zach. So the Broncos listed at number 10.
I mean, I have some bones to pick. I agree actually with the Bucs at number 1 because they were the ultimate quarterback away team for being a title contender. And I think Lindsley here is basing this off the fact that didn't they resign pretty much every player from last year's title team? That might be in this day and age, the free agent period, the salary cap period, that's really tough to do. I agree though, Kansas City, Cleveland, Buffalo, Baltimore, I could see it. I don't know about top 5. I think top 10. The Rams, you can make the case they shouldn't be there. The Cowboys, I agree with. On defense, they have a lot of sleeper talent, but on offense, no question there. And like you said, The Vikings and the Broncos back-to-back, two areas or two teams where George Paton has left his influence. I think, again, that bodes well. And we've been saying it. He wasn't hired, guys, just for this season. This season is the honeymoon period for George Paton. So in the honeymoon period, if the Broncos are already the 10th best roster in the entire NFL, what does that mean for next year and then the year after that, the year after that? It's sustainable success. And the Broncos finally have a GM who's willing to buy into that model.
Yes, Broncos Book Club, and I hope you guys who are following along in the club, we're getting through chapters 2 through 6. So we're getting through, basically getting them up through high school. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about this week, and then from there it gets really fun because we start on the recruiting trail for John Elway. We're reading, of course, Elway, A Relentless Life, but it's going to be a gas. Travis, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you. I don't even know this, but I'm guessing that comment Travis just made, John and Zach, was with some stars on Facebook. He's legendary. So appreciate you, Doc. Also, Gary Leeds Palmer. Elena, Joel, thank you for being with us. Gary Leeds, a legend. Shout out to you, my friend. All right, let me see. There's a couple other topics I want to get to tonight, but let's see what else might be on everyone's mind here, including Casey Nickel, another phenomenal superstar. He's been a great supporter of the show, very generous at times as well, as you can see here. Appreciate you, Casey. We've missed you, dog. Where you been? He says, life is so boring without Broncos football. At least PFF gave me something to be excited about for the day. Yeah, man. I mean, as Zach said, we would be remiss to not acknowledge that, hey, when PFF comes out with anything opinion-oriented, question it a little bit. Don't just take it at face value. But I don't think it's a stretch to say the Broncos have, a top third offense or a roster in this league right now. And just imagine what the future could hold, whether it's Drew Lock turning a corner or if Teddy Bridgewater can do that. And Zach, I know that there was a coach through the Denver Post today. I believe it came out today. The Denver Post. Let me find this. There was a former coach at Teddy Bridgewater's. No, that's the wrong one. That said basically that Teddy can take a team to the next level, if given a chance. So whichever one of these quarterbacks, Zach, ends up on top in the competition, there is a roster, there is a foundation in place to be a threat, especially if the coaching really starts to kind of come to the surface here.
Ding, 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 ding. That's what I was going to say. I mean, they have the roster in place now, but that puts all the attention, at least in my opinion, all on the coaching staff. Can Vic Fangio get the most out of a stacked defense where they've added to it both in free agency and the draft? Can Pat Shurmur and Mike Shula get the most out of either Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater? If they can do both those things, we're talking about a 12-win team. If they don't do those things, we're talking about maybe an 8-win team. Big difference there. So I'm excited. I think the Broncos certainly have a deep roster. And again, it reflects well on Denver because Pro Football Focus is not the only outlet I've heard this offseason laud Denver for their roster. They're getting a lot of national attention now. So I think more people are paying attention to the homegrown and imported talent they've added.
Man, I don't know what I did with that link, but let me find this real quick. I want to say it was the Denver Post. Am I tripping? Where did that Teddy Bridgewater thing come from? Oh, John, see if you can find it. Search the, search Bleacher Report or search maybe Reddit probably has it. Zach, what's going on? Another superstar. You guys have met Zach. We've had Burn the Guitarist on the show. Great guy. Longtime supporter of this show. Love you, bro. He says, hey, guys, just sending some good vibes. Sent, received. Thank you, bro. We're sending right back at you.
Right back at you. Thank you. Great name, by the way.
How goes the guitaring, by the way? Are you guitaring it up? How are you doing? I've been guitaring it a lot, for what it's worth. I've been shredding some cool riffs. It's a lot of fun. I've been kind of going down that rabbit hole. So I hope you're still playing, dude. I hope you're still playing. We never really got a chance to talk too much about that, by the way, when we had you on the show. Here's one, John, I'm going to grab from Claude on Facebook. One of our supporters sends stars. Anytime I see him in the chat, he's giving stars. He's supporting us here, keeping the content rolling for everybody else, doing his part. Claude, appreciate you. He says, excellent pod as always, fellas. Exciting team we got this season. Hoping our coaching staff can maximize the potential of this squad. Middle of the road QB play is all I think we need to return to our rightful place in the division. And with some good QB play, sky is the limit. If only the Bolin kids could behave with the tact and class of their father. Nice word selection there, my friend. Other than that, I think we're in for a fun season. Go Broncos. Well said, Claude.
You got me having neck pain now, Claude, from nodding so vigorously because I agree with literally every point that you made there. So I've been saying it. We've been saying it for what seems like years now. They don't need an all-star. They don't necessarily need a reigning MVP under center. With good coaching with this roster in conjunction, the sky is the limit for Drew Lock especially. It could be a special season. It could be a double-digit win season like we're anticipating.
Most definitely. All right, let me see here. Yes, real quick on the topic from Dave. On the topic of training camp, we showed you guys the schedule. Fans can be there. That's the good news, right? You can show up and watch training camp as you have traditionally for years and years and years. But unlike tradition, you're not going to get a chance to engage with the players after each practice where they'll come over and talk with fans and sign stuff and take pictures, those photo ops and stuff. But that's a small thing to sacrifice, Zach, for the opportunity to be there and to also know football is happening.
Yeah. This time last year, you asked any Broncos fan alive, okay, you can go to the practices, but you can't interact with the players. Sign everyone up. 100 out of 100 people would say they would go. So I'm just excited for a return of normalcy, and I hope Broncos country is as well.
All right, let me see here. Yo, Michael Droppers in the house. Good to see you, Michael. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. I've been absent this week dealing with the heat in PNW at work. PNW. What is that?
Pacific Northwest.
Thank you. I want to raise up DT again and all of the amazing memories. A true beast. Peyton Manning said it best. Yeah. I mean, Demaryius, he was always underrated. And I think a big part of that too, Zach, is, like he's so often compared to Dez Bryant because they were rivals in the draft and they came out at the same time and they played in the same era and all that stuff. But one of the biggest things that separated those two was their personalities and just their kind of, swag. Demaryius just walked the walk, and Dez, not to say he didn't walk the walk, but he was, he's more of a flashy kind of Michael Irvin type, right? He rocked number 88 just like Irvin. And so I think in a way that actually hurt Demaryius, that he wasn't a little bit more, of an alpha on the field in terms of jawing and, do a little dance, do something creative like T.O. or Joe Horn. And, when you score a touchdown, but he was ever just as productive as any wideout, if not all of them during especially that 4-year run with Peyton, man. He was as good as it got in the league.
I was going to say he walked the walk and he talked the talk, but he didn't talk the talk necessarily, literally, in the most literal sense. Yep. And I appreciated that about him. I respected that about him. That's what I said on, I believe it was Monday's show about DT, that he was always soft-spoken, but he carried a big stick, and he converted that stick into a legendary career in the NFL, at least with the Broncos, and that's why his name will be etched in the Broncos Ring of Fame soon enough.
Tyler wants to know on YouTube, has there been any word on Hard Knocks? Eye of Sauron. What have you heard? What have you seen?
Nothing. I know the Broncos are in the mix, but I believe a decision has to be coming soon, though. I mean, we're in July now, and then training camp's around the corner. I don't know if they're going to get it. I still think Jacksonville makes the most sense, but they have most appeal, at least more so than Denver in the public eye, but we'll see what happens.
All right, here we go. Shout out to Tommies. We got 2 Tommies in the house, including one on Facebook, one on YouTube. Shout out to Tommy Laverne Jr. Finally catching you guys live. Hey, man, we look forward to talking with you guys each day, too.
Yep.
Hashtag Ice Dragon, indeed, Mo. And, yeah, Dave, real quick, do you still own the Tebow biography? Because I have it, and I was thinking about working it into the rotation at some point for Broncos Book Club. Let me know. All right, let me see here. Let's grab this one from Joseph, who is also a very dedicated listener to this show and member of our community. Joseph says, does anyone else feel like the Broncos sometimes will cut a guy's career too short and not give him enough time to develop? I feel that with some players, the Broncos don't give them enough time. I think that's true, Joseph, for any NFL team. Like
exactly.
Your window to make a dent in the NFL universe as a player is relatively finite. But yes, I mean, look, John Elway, you could count on one hand, Zach, the number of players he drafted that got a second contract. DT, I think Elway, for the most part, there are a couple exceptions to this, but I think Elway kind of looked across the fruited plain to what Belichick did. And it's no surprise because Matt Russell, who was his right-hand man, Elway's, was a former Patriots scout and was kind of, groomed in the Patriots organization from a scouting perspective. I think Elway looked at what Belichick did in terms of, he was always known, Zach, for getting rid of a player a year or two early instead of a year or two late, right? And so that, I think, for the most part, especially during the heyday, served the Broncos well. But there have been times where you question it, like when they did trade DT in the middle of that season, we question that. Emmanuel Sanders, I think, kind of wore out his welcome, to be honest. He's a good example. He's a good exception to the Elway rule. Chris Harris probably a little bit too.
Yes.
You could argue CJ, but there's a few other guys that we could talk about that you're going, Elvis, you let Elvis Dumervil go? I mean, come on, dude. And you ended up getting DeMarcus Ware the next year, or 2 years later. No, the next year. So, that hole was filled, but still.
Those are the same 2 points I was going to make, that every team does it pretty much, and the Patriots model was always about getting rid of a player a year or two early, and the Lawyer-Malloy release, I believe in 2002, proved that. It was shocking at the time, but Belichick looked correct in the end. And I always judge when this happens what a player does after the team releases him. And what did DT do after the Broncos got rid of him? Didn't he have an Achilles injury, and then he did nothing with the Jets pretty much of note, and then he kind of fizzled out. So maybe the Broncos were correct because, once again, it's a business. It's the most dog-eat-dog, cutthroat business that there is. And they are players, and they have feelings, and they're people. We have to have compassion for them when they lose their jobs, but the NFL looks at it like a business. And if you look at it from the Broncos' perspective, they made a good business move getting rid of DT when they did.
Yes, I do remember this, all right, from Ace Broodstar on YouTube, the infamous Truck of Ray Lewis by one Tatum Bell. Tatum Bell kind of had it tough a little bit because the compensation that the Broncos got for Clinton Portis, you got Champ Bailey and you got one or two picks. One of them I know, though, was converted into the Tatum Bell selection in the second round out of Oklahoma State that very next year. And so he was obviously going to be viewed as kind of the successor to Clinton Portis. And then he donned the dude's number. Then he put on 26 in Denver the very year after, that he was traded. And so he kind of took that onus on him, Zach, a little bit of kind of being, perhaps the next Clinton Portis. And I think he didn't quite live up, obviously, to those expectations, but he still he had 900 some odd yards that 05 year. And then the next year he did get 1,000. And then he started kind of flaming out a little bit, had a lot of injury problems, or else his career probably could have gone somewhere.
Michael made the comment I was going to make. He was very fun, Tatum Bell was on Madden. He was very jitterbuggy, and he was kind of speedy. So that's, Michael, you and I are sharing a brain on Tatum Bell, for sure.
All right, we are at 43 minutes. Let me see where we're at. My stream just jumped to the very, very bottom, John. So I'm going to scroll back up to Fernando. Bro, it's been a minute. We've missed you. Appreciate it. He says, I've missed the last few shows. Work has been crazy. Keep up the great work, Priest. Hey, it's all good, man. We know you're listening after the fact. So many of our great community members and members of this audience, Zach, if they can't make it live, we hear from them that they're listening. We see the numbers, like in our downloads on Apple Pods and, Spotify, and you name the podcast platform, and we're getting those downloads. So we know you guys are checking it out. And Fernando, it's all good. We're just happy to have you with us now. What matters is now.
Yeah, Fernando, keep working hard, keep busting ass, and we appreciate you tuning in with us whenever you can, for sure.
All right, let me see here. There was one other story I want to get to, but I don't want to leave anyone out here. Burn the guitarist again, Zach, says, oh, yeah, things starting to open up. New bands getting formed soon. The music will be unleashed on the world. Dog, I want to hear this. What genre? What genre is the band? I'm curious. I'm guessing it's like some kind of hardcore metal, like something that's very like guitar driven, probably heavy. I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm guessing. Probably not Dream Theater, but maybe something with a little more growl to it. Muhammad, Malik is causing trouble, not letting me enjoy the show. Hey, dude, if I didn't have my wife, we'd be hearing from Theo right now. Trust. Sam says, thank you for the super, Sam. Are any undrafted rookies expected to make the 53-man roster? I haven't heard of many names. Zach, I don't think there's anyone this team signed from the college free agent ranks that you could really tap as like a true threat on the surface, but that playing field gets leveled in a way once everyone steps onto the grass at training camp. And the guy that I'm keeping an eye on is Andre Mintz from Vandy, the edge rusher. And then also I know Kenneth Booker, he's big on Warren Jackson, the big boundary receiver from Colorado State, from CSU. So I don't know. Your thoughts?
I have one more. I think that's the tight end buyer, because the Broncos tight end room is so bare right now, and they need someone behind Alberto and Noah Fant. So those guys that we've mentioned, I think, have the best odds. But like Chad said, there's no breakaway, runaway candidate to make the 53 like in years past. Good problem to have again.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And he's from tight end U too. So the dude can block. Let's just put it that way. The dude was trained and coached on how to be a pro tight end. So we'll keep an eye on him for sure.
Dave says sharing the brain too on Sean Byer.
Yes, indeed. Picking up Nate Jackson's book in the mail today, because that's the next book we're gonna crush for Broncos Book Club. Slow Getting Up is what it's called for those of you that want to participate in Broncos Book Club. Pick it up. We're probably a few weeks out from starting it, but it's a good preemptive move there. Wise decision, Dave. Okay, let's see here.
The Duchess.
Michaela. The Duchess, indeed. Love you. She says, coaching is our biggest problem. I'm not sold on Fangio and Shermer. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason they're in a put up or shut up situation. And you can argue every NFL coaching staff is under that, understanding. And it's true to a point, but this is it for Fangio. This is it for Shermer and Denver. If they don't make hay, get this team across or over the hump back to the playoffs, they are going to be sent packing. But I just try to stray a little bit, Michaela, from being too hyperbolic or simplifying things to the extreme too much. I agree. Coaching was a primary factor behind the Broncos' struggles last year, but also you can point to the injury bug. You can point to inconsistent quarterback play, and all those things are tied together. That's why they call it a team. But if they can just put that together, if the coaches can get on the same page, if they can find a way to get the most out of Drew, or if it's Teddy, this team is set up to be freaking good.
I think everyone acknowledges that Pat Shermer's on the hot seat. I mean, he was brought in last year I get work with the quarterbacks and this and that, but the only reason I believe they retained him is because they brought back Drew Lock. And if Lock doesn't work out this year, they're going to have a new quarterback and a new coordinator. So that's obvious. But Vic Fangio, there's a large sect of Broncos country who doesn't believe Fangio is on the hot seat, that he should be given another year regardless of what happens. I don't believe in that at all. And it's not us taking a stance. It's not our opinion. You saw how many times the last couple of years, and in recent times, I mean, going back to the season finale, the Broncos should have won that game. The reason they lost against the Raiders was not because of Locke, was not because of Shermer. It was because of Vic Fangio's coaching or lack thereof, and management or lack thereof, and the Broncos defense falling apart. So yeah, Michaela, I'm right there with you. I've never really been sold, obviously, on Pat Shermer, but Vic Fangio, after a decent showing in 2019, and he was given a raw hand that year as well. He has a lot to prove from an NFL coach's standpoint. Chad, we know he's a great defensive mind, but like we've been saying, it takes way more to run a team than to just focus on defense and be a good coordinator. He's failed so far at the other aspects of the job, as far as I'm concerned.
You got to be more than just the head coach of the defense. Here's that article, by the way, and thank you to – dang it, what happened? Where'd it go? Let me go back. I might not be logged in. But here's the quote real quick, all right, about Teddy Bridgewater from a coach that worked with him. Quote, I really believe this about him, that he really, truly is looking for somebody that believes in him. This is from Watson. Who is it? Sean Watson. Let me see who this is. I'm not familiar with Sean Watson, but either way. Man, this is really kind of – the layout's weird. All right, here we go. The former CU Buffs assistant coach who was Denver's quarterback's mentor and offense coordinator. Dang it. It's doing this again. Hold on. Already a subscriber. Thank you. Go away. Guys, I apologize. I'll have to come back when we're not logged in. But anyway, that's the article. We'll see if I can't log in when next I get a chance to when Zach's talking. Albert, yes, thank you, buddy. Broncos Book Club, Kelberman's Corner, and the Trickle Zone are only available if you subscribe on Facebook. If not, you're missing out. Thank you for that testimonial, my friend. It means the world to us, for sure. John, thank you. Oh, Geiger, using his real name. I almost used it the other night. I almost said Peter, but I didn't. How did we know his name was Peter? Well, of course, he ordered some swag, so we see the person's real name and all that. So, Peter, thank you for emerging to the surface. It's great to see you. Thank you for your support down in Australia. He says, thank you, Chad and Zach. #football priest. Always a good start to the morning. Remember, he's in the future, dog. This guy's like talking to you through the future. Wrap your brain around that. Always a good start to the morning when you guys are on talking Broncos. This warehouse was so boring before I found MHH. Broncos for life. Really cool to hear, man. It actually is really neat for us to hear how people work the show into their lives, like where they listen, the routines, the rituals, the habits people form. So that's cool. Thanks, Peter.
I just looked it up, and it's 11:15 a.m. on July 2nd in Australia right now. So, Peter, am I going to have a good day tomorrow? What's going to happen? Let us know.
Yeah. Peter coming to you from the Wayback Machine, right? Okay, let me see here real quick. DT played Georgia Tech in a triple option offense, which is another reason why it was so crazy. He was drafted in the first round. He didn't get a lot of reps.
Calvin Johnson, too. Same school, same scheme.
Megatron. Sean Byer from CC. Sean Byer, I think he has a low-key shot at making the team. Yeah, if he can outblock, I keep forgetting this kid, Sauber. What's the tight end from Jacksonville?
Saubert, yeah.
Saubert. If he can outblock that dude, he's definitely got a shot. And I think he's a guy that the Broncos probably, in their heart of hearts, already kind of have earmarked as a practice squad guy that they could call up when needed. And they probably feel like he's going to be mostly overlooked by any other teams, when they waive him to the practice squad. So, yeah, don't sleep on him too much. I mean, he's still a dark horse. He's still got quite the uphill climb because you got Noah Fant, Albert O, the veteran from Jacksonville. You got Austin Fort trying to break back into this thing. Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing one.
Beck.
Oh, Andrew Beck. Thank you. So we'll see. Clayton, good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you as well. 52 minutes. All right. We got a little bit of time here. I'm just trying to catch up. And again, we want to be as democratic as possible. Checking it out here. Bear with me one second.
Any questions you guys have, feel free to drop it in. And
it's the tail end here. We're running out of time. So BNS. Priest, thanks for my daily communion, gents. If Miller stays healthy for the next 3 years, do you think he catches DeMarcus Ware on the all-time sack list? #all Pro Bowl. So as he illustrates here, Von Miller currently sits with 106 sacks all time. He is Denver's all-time leading sack artist, passing up the great Simon Fletcher not too long ago. And then DeMarcus Ware is quite a few steps up the rung, quite a few rungs, I should say, up the ladder from Von right now, all time with 138.5 sacks. So Zach, I'm no mathematician, but that's
carry the one.
32.5, right? So
that's me.
3 years, 32.5 sacks. Yeah, if Von can play till he is 35, yeah, there's a good chance of that.
I think a lot is going to be determined this year. This is a big crossroads season for Von Miller. He's auditioning not just to remain with the Broncos, hopefully, but maybe to play in the NFL somewhere the next couple years. He's going to be fading out of his prime soon. He would have to average, a little over, what did you say it was? 22? I'm so bad at math.
So 32 sacks, basically, 32 sacks to get him to 32.5 to tie.
So it's a little less than 11 a year. I think, okay, so get back on my point. If he has like a 12-sack year this year, which I think is definitely, doable, he can hit that mark. But if he fizzles out and reaches like 5 or 8, and maybe we see the end is a little nearer for Von Miller than we all anticipate, it's going to be tough. But I think normal Von, even at maybe 90% Von Miller, I think he can do it, and he will do it.
Well said. 10.5 sacks. Yep. Thank you, BNS. And
This will never be a math podcast. Ever.
No.
Ever.
That's definitely not our bag. Okay, let me scroll up here. I know the chat just did a jump on me. Well, while I'm seeing how this resolves, John, keep an eye out just for any questions or whatnot. I got to get your thoughts on this real quick, Zach. Nick Kendall had an article at milehighhuddle.com today. And in this article, he was talking about Jason La Canfora of our former employer, CBS Sports, who had some relatively bold predictions for Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. In the case of, well, I'll just read this real quick. Go check out the article from Nick because he does a great job kind of deep diving on the topic at hand here. But let me just read to you what La Canfora said. He predicts Miller to win comeback player of the year, and he predicts Bradley Chubb to lead the league in sacks. Quote, I already chronicled the kind of year I believe Von Miller will have, but he is not as young and twitchy and in his prime as Chubb. Chubb has gone through 2 trying seasons in which things have not gone his way, and he has not had around him what was expected. That will change in 2021. He will grasp fully what Fangio has created for him and edge out Chase Young for the sack lead. And then Chubb will get a massive payday. This Broncos defense has the makings of a truly elite unit if the top individuals take a step forward, and I anticipate they do just that, close quote. So, Zach, how far outside the bounds of the plausible is it that Bradley Chubb could not only lead the NFL in sacks, but then Vaughn coming in and swooping to bring back an accolade that's not on his resume yet, comeback player of the year?
Well, did Aaron Donald die? I mean, you're pitting just Chase Young versus Bradley Chubb for the NFL sack title, and I think that's overlooking a lot of other good pass rushers out there, including Chandler Jones and many other guys that are going to push for that label. I think it's doable, though, and like we talked about on Monday, or at least I did, Bradley Chubb, if you go back to 2018 and get that prior form, he's a couple years removed now. He's a better player than he was. That was the floor for Bradley Chubb in the NFL, being the 5th overall pick. If they can get 15 sacks out of him, maybe that's the new floor for 2021 with Von Miller finally opposite him. It's going to be tough, though. I only say that not as a slight against Bradley Chubb, as a credit, though, to the Broncos defense. When you have Von Miller, when you have Shelby Harris, when you have Draymond Jones, hell, when you have Malik Reed, when you bring in Baron Browning, you're going to have so many players that are going to be eligible and in racking up these sacks that it's going to be tough for Bradley Chubb to garner enough on his own to warrant that title.
We have an appearance from the Queen. Christy in the house with a super chat, showing us some love, showing you guys some love. When she puts the heart emoji in there, orange, right, for a reason. She's sending that out to everybody. So, Christy, thank you for jumping in. As we always say, better late than never. We've missed you. Hope you're doing well.
If there's one individual where the podcast isn't complete until they make their presence, it's definitely the queen of Mile High Huddle and the queen of the Huddle Up podcast, Christy. We love you so much and we appreciate you. It's always good to see you. Thank you.
Merch designer extraordinary.
Right.
In fact, Christy, I was thinking about that the other day, and I think we should have a conversation, see if you want to try and design some more stuff, because people loved that shirt. They bought the heck out of that shirt. So especially the great women in our community buying up that shirt. So I'll shoot you DM. Fernando says, why didn't we keep Jeremiah Atachu? Zach, your thoughts. And then I want to shout out Facebook, and then we'll get out of here.
I mean, same reason they didn't keep around Anthony Chickillo. He's just a Jag. He was a veteran holdover when the Broncos needed some veteran depth at that position. You had Bradley Chubb go down in recent years. You had Von Miller go down. You don't have that need for him, Jerry Atachu, anymore, because thankfully a younger player like Malik Reed stepped up. And, to Atachu's credit, he was actually much better than I ever thought he was going to be, but not enough to warrant another contract or at least a multi-year investment from Denver.
So, yeah, the thing about Jerry is, former high-round pick. The Chargers drafted him second round when he came out. He failed to live up to expectations. He was supposed to be the complement to Melvin Ingram, and he just didn't really live up to that, and they ended up going back to the well and drafting Bosa, Joey Bosa, that is. and he flamed out. And then where did he go before Denver? He bounced. Was it the Jets? I think, right? He went to the New York Jets, and just a guy. He was a Jag. And Denver thought they might have had something in him because his first year here, so 2019, down the stretch, when you're without Bradley Chubb and Vaughn, that was his quote unquote down year where he only had 8 sacks. You needed some juice. And he stepped up and, if I can recall right, had something to the effect of 3.5 sacks in the final quarter of the season. And so the Broncos are like, hey, yeah, let's bring him back on a 1-year deal. Zach, last year, he was very ineffectual. He just couldn't really make a dent in the absence of Vaughn. And who stepped up? Malik Reed. So a quick shout out here to these great superstar senders on Facebook. We've already referenced just about everybody on here with the exception of Ian, but shout out to Claude. Shout out to Gary. Is it Claude or Cloud? I'm going to say Claude. Shout out to Claude. Shout out to Gary, Elena, Joel, Tommy, Ian, and then over here, of course, Travis, Zebulon. Love you guys. Thank you for the stars and support. Every ounce, every nickel that you guys donate to us, all right, to support this content, to support the brand, the channel. Trust us when we say it goes a long, long way. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah, it's always great seeing these columns grow. I mean, what I mean by that is we see one more stars lever every single time we podcast. And again, guys, we appreciate it more than we can tell you. Thank you.
All right, guys, with that, and by the way, here's what I'm talking about. This is Christie's designing
dope
acumen, talent. It's awesome. It's cool. It's so different than anything I could have ever come up with. I mean, you look at it and you go, oh, it's just the name and a heart. No. It's different than our logo, and it just pops. This was probably, Zach, I don't know, top 3 or 4 bestseller on the merch store.
Easy.
In 2020.
Yeah. Easy.
So, yeah, Christy, well done. We appreciate you.
And huddleuppod.com. Get yours today.
That's right. John, drop the link. But guys, that'll do it for tonight's episode of the Huddle Up Podcast, concluding yet another just completely fun, loose, engaging, compelling Mile High Mailbag. Thanks to you guys for being with us. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the super chats, all the support. But we got to dip out. And, everyone in America is going to be celebrating the 4th of July this weekend because, of course, the 4th is Sunday. And hopefully most of you get Monday off, right? Because, you should be getting Monday off. If you're not getting Monday off, talk to the old boss, all right? But have a great weekend. Stay safe. Be smart.
Yeah.
Zach and I I'll see you Saturday for Broncos Book Club on Facebook. Zach will see you Sunday at noon for Kelberman's Corner, noon Mountain Time. And then we'll be back in the saddle, the Huddle Up Podcast. We don't take holidays off. So we will be back Sunday night, 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern, to fire off another week of podcasting. And with that being said, Zach, sign us off, bro.
Yeah, I was going to say, guys, please have a very happy but very safe 4th of July. It's a lot different than it was last year. Go out, be happy, be merry, enjoy the food, enjoy your friends and family, but be responsible. We want to see you guys here on Sunday night, on Monday, and no days off for us either. And as Michaela says, guys, if you haven't gotten the shirt yet, the Christie design shirt from huddleuppod.com, Michaela is vouching for it, so be sure to pick that up. But we're going to out of here, guys, until Sunday evening. We're out of here. So follow the Huddle Up Podcast on Twitter at Huddle Up Pod. Follow the mother account at Mile High Huddle. Do we have a raffle?
Ooh, good. Yeah, keep going through and I'll have it ready by the time you're done.
All right. John, let's follow you on Twitter. Follow the Beast at John K. MHH. You can follow Chad on Twitter, as you can see, at Chad and Jensen. You can follow myself at Kelberman NFL. Please, guys, if you haven't already, go to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Like the page, follow the page. Also, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. Become a supporter, big blue button. New episodes, new exclusive content coming this weekend. No days off for us despite the holiday. Kelberman's Corner, Broncos Book Club, big blue button. We appreciate you. Also, huddleuppod.com, as we've been saying, get your swag, get yourself a football pre-shirt, get yourself one of Christie's shirts, get yourself a pre-shirt. Anything you want is there for you. We appreciate your patronage. If you can't do any of that, though, totally understand. We totally respect your decisions, but please, takes 3 seconds, one for each thing we want you to do here. Subscribe, like, and share. It helps us grow more than anything else we ask of you, and we appreciate it immensely. And with that, Chad, I'll leave it to you.
Okay, here's the winner. I'm putting it in on banner right now. Pretty cool name, too. This is randomly selected, okay? And if you are liking and following the Huddle Up Podcast Facebook page, you're automatically entered into the raffle each and every week. This week, we're giving away this T-shirt, right? These ugly mugs on a blue shirt with the hashtag Football Priests. And the winner is, this week, on Facebook, Daniel Vader. I hope you were a drummer, and I hope you are also a fan of Star Wars, my dog. But Daniel, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for liking and following the page. To claim your prize, simply shoot us an email over at milehighhuddle@gmail.com. Easy to remember. And we'll need your T-shirt size, your address. We'll get that sent out to you. Thanks again, Daniel, for taking our call to action to heart, liking, following our Huddle Up Podcast Facebook page, and for your support.
Yeah, enjoy this shirt, Daniel. Congratulations on it. Let us know how you like it. But we are off, guys, until Sunday night. Have a great 4th, great holiday weekend, Chad and John. Thank you, everyone out there. We'll see you guys Sunday night. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.